Hello and welcome to Dynamics Update. Today it's me, Gustav, and we have a guest. But first of all, hello, Gustav. How are you today?
Hello, Johan. I'm great today, as always. I hope you are well.
Yes, I am. And as I said, we have a guest as well. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Miha Vuk. I'm a technical architect and technical fellow at Docentrics. And I'm also an enthusiast about the dynamics and especially about the finance and operations part.
Nice to have you here, Mia.
Yeah.
So I think you and Johan met earlier, right, in Portugal, and you found an interest in discussing the dynamics ecosystem, and you work with a company called Docentrics, right?
Yes, we met with Johan on the FNO summit in Lisbon, like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we did some interesting discussions and also a jogging.
It was actually the run that made me think of inviting you, because we had an interesting discussion during the run. Because I know that you work for Docentrics, as you said, and one of the things that made me think about this was that Docentrics has a sort of a special licensing model when it comes to licensing it for customers. Could you please explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So from the very beginning, we tried to do something for the community. Of course, we are a company. We sell our products, but we also wanted to give something to the community instead of a more classic marketing. And we also give one big part of our commercial product as a free version. So, and it's not just a trial that works just for some days or for some limited amount of, sent emails. It's actually a complete product. So the Docentrics free version is a complete product and we have many customers that use just this free product, and we are fine with it. So it is something. It contains improved print destinations, improved emailing part, and also improved print archives. These are the main components of our free version, and this is something that many FNO products around the world actually use it, and they don't even have to ask us. They can just download it and try. There's a lot of materials on it, and the good point is that because it's free, we can also talk about it on different forums. We can actually advise the different users around the world that they can solve their problem using our tool. And that's also how the things actually started. So it actually helps solving the problems that people quite actually regularly have.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I think and you have a very extensive and well-founded documentation as well on how to use these products. And I think I stumbled upon Docentrics many times before in earlier versions of AX as well. I'm not sure, did you have the same in, I don't think, was it there for AX 2012 as well, or is it that's the free licensing model downloadable as new?
Actually not. Docentrics started with the Docentrics Toolkit, that's the .NET product, and then when we find out that some people from AX world joined the company, and they actually find out there is a huge gap and a huge potential in the AX 2012 at that time. Then we implemented this Docentrics rendering engine that allows us to generate reports from the world Microsoft Word templates. But that was like this core basic functionality in the X 2012. Later, in the FNO times, the product matured much more. We added these improved print destinations that are continuously improving, and that part was actually taken out and shipped as a free version. And this free, so now it makes sense. It's a complete product, and it's not really directly connected to our commercial product. But of course, if the customers finds out that we know how to solve the problems and then they are typically quite open also for demonstration of our commercial product.
Yeah, so basically, if I understand it correctly, basically you have the free product, and then you can pay for a premium, and then you get extra functionality as well.
Yes, actually, in a simple words, so with our premium, with our paid product, you can use Docentric templates. Docentric templates for different documents are actually, and these Docentric templates are use Microsoft Word as a designer. And because normal power users know how to use Microsoft Word, it's very easy for them to make some report customizations. And there are also some other improvement, but that's the major part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are very cool. I use them a lot. I mean, both for AX 2012 and the gap that you mentioned was there, and I think it's an interesting shift in how. I mean, ISVs has been there from AX, like early versions of AX, of course. And I remember someone told me that didn't understand the AX part of it. It's like App Store for ERP. And it's always been like an app store for ERP, like in reality, right? Because you can add this and that to the product. But that's never been more true than what it is now, with the whole community mindset being out there. Now, if I a couple of years ago, when F&O didn't exist, it was a struggle to find documentation and information about all these various parts, right? But now the documentation of the standard product, as well as, I mean, your ISV, it's all there. It's all there in the community, and it's easier to come by. And with you also offering this as a downloadable model, downloadable code that you can actually implement. I saw you also provided free examples of how to solve specific use cases, which I've encountered many times as well, because it is quite common for you to have to split up this document needs to go here, this document needs to go here. That part of the product is a little bit limited in standard. The options that you get are limited. So it's interesting to see. Do you know like how big of a division it is? How many customers use the free version versus the paid version? Because I think I see a lot of usage.
Actually, I think much more. I mean, more than a half of our customers use just the free version, and that's fine. They even come to support sometimes, and we also help them if it's not too complicated. Yeah, so we are fine with it. You mentioned before this that actually that there's a lot of standard documentation, and there is also the community built documentation, and this is also something that we regularly do when we see some gaps, some problems are not well documented in the community. We also try to publish some articles on these topics.
Mm-hmm.
Often also with some examples, with some proof of concept solutions, and that's also, and then we publish it on our blog, and that's also quite popular, and also it generates a lot of traffic, and of course leads the customers to our page and also to our product.
Yeah, of course. So as an ISV, do you do any the community-driven development? It's been up as a topic before. As a product company, you develop the product, right? Do you use the community-driven?
Actually, we do sometimes some community-driven development, talking about standard Microsoft. I mean, to the contributions to the standard F&O product. We don't do community-driven development of our solution in terms that the people would directly contribute to our code. But what we do a lot, that so when the people have some challenges, then we solve them together with them on our product, and also taking their inputs into account. And if it makes sense for a wider audience, then we also put it in our next version.
Makes sense.
Yes. One of the things that I think is pretty cool as well is that traditionally reporting has been done through SSRS, and that requires some developer to be building the reports and fixing them. And that's why I think also that doing it through the Word templates that you're talking about is also a really good addition, because that offloads the developers and can be done from someone else, because a lot of the reporting design is often very much back and forth. So we do something, the business doesn't like it, they complain, and we fix it again, and they look at it again, and it's not good. But the good thing with the word template is that they can basically, in a tool that they are familiar with, do the building, at least the like a proof of concept, at least something that works, that looks okay. If there are details that needs to be fixed, then we can take care of them, but they can do at least most of the work in a tool that they are already familiar with.
Yes, that was exactly the case, and very, very often case. Press approach, if almost every customers want to customize at least the sales invoice or at least the accounts payable check, and typically also some other reports. And with the SSRS technology, it means that the customers has to write the specification, developer implemented this, and then in a few days they have deployed this solution to the environment, and in a few days they sit together and see the results. And the results was typically not perfect fit, and then they repeated the whole process once or twice or 3 times, and it's very time consuming. And then it comes to the money. We heard that some customers paid more than 10,000 or even 20,000 for just one report. These are like the maximums, but these are still huge money. And with Docentric, you can actually export the data source, use either a blank Word document or a Word document that you have printed from the SSRS, for example, and then you can in an offline mode in a Microsoft Word Designer create your document, and it's very quick, and you see all the results in real time. And so this is something that the power users typically can do, and even the less experienced power user can do some smaller customizations of existing reports, like adding a new field, like changing different layout sizes, colors, or some other minor specifics, or maybe changing the language and so on. So you can play with all these design, and not just design, but also the content of the document offline, and see all the results immediately.
It's very cool. I've been hands-on with that template designer, actually. It's really, as you say, it's very straightforward.
Yeah, we do have like demo sessions how to customize your accounts payable check in a lunch break. But this is not just a title; it's actually a reality. And one experience can do it in a lunch break. Less experienced users can do it in a few hours.
Yeah, it's really cool. Very powerful tool to expand. But how would you describe the difference between, your tool and using the new functionality, the configurable business documents? I know in the standard product there is a lightweight version of doing Excel exports, right? That Microsoft has done. How would you describe the major differences between those to understand between Docentric and what's built in?
Yes, Microsoft has also tried with this configurable business document technology to actually bring the document customization closer to power users. And they have this, they support it from Excel and also from Word documents. But it has turned out that actually data modeling part is quite powerful, while data document formatting part, the final visualization, is actually quite limited.
Okay.
And so if you have not so basic requirements, then you struggle quite a lot. Okay. So we actually made some kind of we actually made the choice to take best of both worlds. So Docentric can be used. Docentric can use Microsoft configurable business documents data models, and you can make Docentric designs based on it. So that's actually much more powerful and also
using ER, right? Electronic reporting, and then the
actually
invoice model.
electronic reporting is a framework under the configurable business documents. Yes, but it still turns out that if you want to do some more advanced customization in your data models, maybe you don't need a real developer, but you still need someone that has a developer mindset.
Mindset, exactly. Yeah, that's been my experience too. It's like it's easy,
a little
but
bit too complicated. Yeah,
it's a little bit too complicated. You need to know what the model mapping does. What is the model? What is the format? It takes a bit of understanding to get to know, and it's powerful. Absolutely, I share that. What you say, that maybe not like a functional user in that mindset. You need to be at least technically savvy, understand how these things work, but it makes it a lot more powerful, leveraging on the ER framework.
The Docentric leverages SSRS designs and SSRS data provider, the standard one, all their logic, and also the electronic reporting data models.
And that is a lot of documents, right? Because that's basically everything coming out of the system is configurable that way. Using ER, you can pretty much build anything. You can build like collection letters, whatever you need, using those types of configurations, as long as you understand them.
If you're using standard configurable business documents, then you're also limited to standard electronic reporting print destinations.
Yeah, I mean, together with the Docentric template layout, because you have a lot of expressions there that I noticed when working with the Word plugin specifically. Yeah.
Together with Docentric templates, you can use Docentric advanced print destinations that are much more suitable for advanced scenarios and for the integrations.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very common use case, specifically to be able to push files to a separate blob storage. Is just one very simple use case, which is very common. You need different security, different use cases, different integration patterns. You need to be able to at least segregate areas of where you put these files. And that makes it a very simple thing to solve. If you Google it, some people still Google. Those of us that doesn't use ChatGPT for everything, we still Google or use Bing, of course. I know. But if we do that, I think your solution using that the free license and the whole community mindset that you have, it seems to be a very good approach, because then you pop up very high. It's not like this big paywall which you have to go through to find information, because you guys seem to be very, very open with your information. And then, of course, I mean, if we use a product and use the premium versions, then it's pretty clear to pay for it, of course. But it seems to me to be a very good strategy, at least paid off for seeing how many people actually use Docentric product right now.
I'm also glad actually that this business model really works, that we can actually earn a decent living with being so open to the community. Yeah,
of course. That's very cool. But Docentric, as you said, that was actually new to me. I've only been in touch with Docentric, of course, via like the AX sphere. But you guys provide to different products as well. Or is it majority Dynamics oriented now?
No, actually, the vast majority, we are focused on F&O.
Okay.
We are now developing also the customer engagement product, but it's in an early version. Actually, the pressure from our customers to cover also the CRM and Power Platform is really big. So this will be our next big topic.
Yeah. So do we see SSRS being there in the future? I mean, I've been an SSRS developer myself, and it's developer hell to build a document in SSRS because of you can pretty much build a very fancy report, but as soon as ERP comes into play, it has to be the specific layout, the specific form. So working in SSRS is developer hell, I would say, at least from my perspective. So it makes sense to work with a more platform or a user-friendly template. So do we SSRS as a report generator, like a framework, might still be there for a while, right?
Actually, from all what I see or hear from Microsoft, I don't see that they will replace it with anything, with some other technology in the mid future.
No. Right, it's still there as a report generator. Yeah.
Maybe in the very next generation of their ERP system, but
ChatGPT comes in. Exactly. Yeah. You don't need a report. You just get a dialogue instead. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. We'll see.
Yes. Actually, there are so many reports in standard that are developed with SSRS.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same shift they did for when they migrated from 2009 from the classic rendering reports. So I understand fully that like the SSRS engine is super powerful. I'm not saying that it's bad, but when building, as you say, the actual end user reports in an ERP context where you don't have these fast deploys, if you just have like deploying an SSRS report in itself is super easy, right? It's very fast and quick. But deploying like the supporting layer underneath the data provider classes, that's where the rigidness comes in from an ERP perspective.
Yeah, I think the SSRS as a technology for other purposes is just
perfect.
fine.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's the whole part of understanding. That's where SSRS, as opposed to ER model, where you need to understand the differences here, and that's something I'm struggling with still, understanding the limitations and the benefits of using electronic reporting as opposed to SSRS like pure. Understand the difference in model and generation and how these things work.
When we've been talking about electronic reporting and SSRS, the number of SSRS reports in the F&O is actually huge. And there is a very, very minor part of this. Just the most commonly used report are supported also in the electronic reporting CBD version.
Yeah, exactly. But the most common ones are the sales invoice, purchase invoice, the ones that are most commonly as well also customized. And that's where the model comes into play, right? It's interesting to see.
And they are also the ones that customer pays attention to it.
Yeah, of course. And the ones and where you need to differentiate between not only like legal entities, subsets of customers within legal entities require different formats, different layouts, different. Are you selling
those
abroad?
Public-facing documents are
exactly.
Are the ones that the customers care.
Business documents, exactly.
Yes. So, Miha, is there anything else that you think that we should talk about today?
So, as an ISV, we can also talk about some challenges about of our development. So, F&O is an extensible product, but especially in last years, it is harder. I mean, it's harder and harder to extend the new functionalities. And if you want to be some kind of a progressive ISV and also actually give the customers some kind of a maximum, also with the newer technologies, we quite often have to really walk on the edge. How we could extend, because actually that's what our customers typically expect. And because it's a kind of a great area, it always means that we have to test every new version immediately after of an F&O immediately after it's released. Sometimes it even requires some hot fixes, and it's an ongoing story. And and then discussing with Microsoft extensibility requests, finding some how can something be achieved other way. It's I mean, it's really interesting.
But it's changed a little bit of how we modify the product, right? Because you are a product team, you also need to maintain all the testing scenarios. So I would imagine that you guys have you test on a number of different scenarios and versions, but then you have clients running different configurations, different reports. That must be a nightmare in covering test scenarios. You can only test so far up until the report hits the template, because the templates you guys have no control over, right? That's on the client side. So how do we test a template that is customized? It's really interesting. There are a number of ways to do it, of course, but if you have, let's say you have 20 customized reports, how would you test those, and what do you test? Do you test the data that actually reaches?
Actually, the data are packed in a so-called Docentric data source package. This is an XML structure, and then you have a template. So these are actually the two inputs that goes into our rendering engine. And if there are any problems in this area, it's quite they are quite reproducible, and it's quite easy to find out the root cause, and also quite easy to run the tests, some kind of automatic test. Any functionality that is connected to the F&O standard in connection with whatever different settings and configuration is much more trickier. And the most tricky problems that actually we have are the ones that we cannot test. And those are the problems that appear just on some customers' environment, just on some environments, just on some customers. And even the Microsoft admits that they really appear just there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
PDF rendering versions, stuff like that.
Or the last one that I remember is reading some environment configuration data from the environment configuration didn't work on some environments.
Just random errors.
Yeah, this is something where we of course rely on the Microsoft infrastructure libraries.
Of course, yeah.
But in some rare cases, things didn't work
But that's also the challenge, right? Because that's also in a transitory state. It's always moving. It's always changing. It's going to one version.
For me, that's really the driver. It would be boring otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's easier to test things when they're stable. Yeah. Now we need to test what might come ahead and make sure that we adapt to it as well.
Yeah. We're not doing this because it's easy, but because it's hard.
So, so one question I have. You touched on this before that sometimes Microsoft won't let you extend new functionality in a way where you would like to. Does it also happen often that they actually remove extensibility options from some where they have already been extensibility, or if they changes functionality so that all of a sudden your extensions doesn't work anymore?
Yeah, it happens sometimes, but actually Microsoft has given some commitments, and one of these commitments is about this binary backward compatibility, and they treat this one extremely serious. So if some of their changes is breaking binary compatibility, like if they added a new parameter on a public method, this is like one example, they will treat it as a high priority and they will issue a hotfix and so on. Yeah. But then there are other changes that they don't violate their commitment, but they still violate. There are still a blocker for our application. Okay. And those are much more trickier because Microsoft doesn't take them that serious. And sometimes they fix it maybe in our next version, sometimes they don't fix it at all. And then we, of course, have to find some kind of a workaround.
Yeah, I would imagine that's very tricky to always stay on top as an ISV as well, because I mean, we we just use one client implementation, it's easier at least to build one specific set of routines, one specific set of tests to make sure that we adapt and have some time to plan ahead. But when you have so many other challenges, it makes it harder.
I mean, the most tricky part for us is that we don't have control and direct access to the target environment. So,
no, yeah, of course. So do you do anything on commerce? I know you have warehouse labels, which is also a very good use case where to make use of labels and formatting, make it easier for printing and destination, of course, not to say the least. But do you have any commerce like on the post side for to use templates there? Is there any plans to use templates there? I'm thinking like receipts, reports.
We typically listen to the inputs of our customers, and I'm a bit surprised, but there wasn't much interest from our customers for customizing reports on the commerce side.
Okay.
Yeah. So Docentric as a technology, of course, covers all SSRS reports can be used for all SSRS-based reports in the F&O. So from the commerce, from the retail, we cover certain aspects like product labels, shelf labels, and so on. But on the commerce, especially, we don't have any use cases yet. But if you do have, just let us know.
No, I haven't heard of it either. It's always like you have this fixed set of reports, the X report, the Z report, the different receipts, etc. So it's just interesting to hear if you've had any use cases from there, because it's always a subset of reports that are actually business documents from a post side, right? The remaining part can be, or maybe should be, back-end reporting as well. You could do it in Power BI or in SSRS, so there it comes into play, right? But actually printing a Docentric template from store commerce, I haven't seen any such use cases or implementations before. So it's just an interesting question.
Yeah, as I know, that part is, let's say, better covered by the standard.
Yeah,
that's the input, the feedback that we get from.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't have 1,000 report options in POS, or if you do, you have some issues, I think, with your with your selection criteria.
And also the the retail invoices are typically simpler, and
yeah, absolutely. It's very straight, very very formatted. You only have so much space to use.
Exactly, and then it's probably current technologies looks like it's sufficient.
All
right. But with that, I think it's a perfect place to say thank you to Miha for joining us this episode.
Thank you very much.
And hope to see you soon again.
Thank you. I would just take this time to also invite you to Dynamics Mind Conference.
Yeah,
this is also something that our company is organizing. So it's a Dynamics conference covering F&O and also other Dynamics tracks in May in Porto Roche.
So yeah, both me and Johan will be there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Come meet us.
Johan and Gustav will be there.
Yep. So come and meet us. It will be great.
Okay, until next time, have a nice time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.